McCarthy and his party are likely to face even steeper stakes when it comes to immigration reform and immigrants themselves.
Congressman, your op-ed this morning in the Chicago Tribune seems to sort of echo that sentiment. You write, in part, GOP makes huge mistakes on immigration reform. In taking no action, Republicans are choosing to forfeit the White House in order to hold power in the House of Representatives. They are ending any chance conservatives have to sit in the Oval Office, control the executive branch, set foreign policy, or nominate Supreme Court justices for decades to come. That's obviously very good news for Hillary Clinton or any competent candidate for the Democrats in 2016 or for the next few decades. That's pretty strong, Congressman.
Sure. But you know, Greg, it's based on fact. Every year, 900,000 Latinos turn 18. And yes, they're all citizens of the United States. I think people forget that 75% of Latinos in this country are citizens of the United States. 90% of us are legally in this country. And we want immigration reform because our communities are families, right? Interwoven with those that have documents and those that don't have documents. And when you send around scurrilous charges against immigrants in general, it affects all of us. And so all I'm trying to say is, look, if you are a Republican running for president of the United States, you have to take New York, Illinois, and California off the table. Soon you're going to take Colorado off the table because you haven't won in the last couple of elections. Barack Obama got 51% of the vote. Yeah. That's true. That's a huge. He won by 5 million votes. But Mitt Romney got 59% of the white vote. That's more white voters than Ronald Reagan, and he lost by 5 million votes to Barack Obama. Where are they going to go and expand? And I think there are many Republicans, I know them, I've spoken to them, who understand the peril that not dealing with immigration reform presents for them as a national institution. I
want to turn here to what's happening out in California. Secretary of Homeland Security Jay Johnson talked to Rachel Maddow last night about the protesters there in Murrieta. This is what Mr. Johnson said.
When someone interrupts the ability of the Border Patrol to process a migrant, you're preventing us from conducting basic health screening and the basic background checks on who these people are. That's a very basic Border Patrol function. I look at those images, and they are very disturbing.
Congressman, I know you've seen those images as well. What do you make of what we're seeing play out in Murrieta, California?
Let me just personalize it a little bit. My mom and dad, they came from Puerto Rico, 1952, New York City. If it were 1952 in New York City, we'd open up a newspaper. They'd be talking about how my mom and dad were bringing diseases, how they were coming here to only get on welfare, how people, it wasn't like New York City and America said, what a great idea that a few 100,000 Puerto Ricans just show up.
Congressman,
so it's a repeat of our history.
What are the viable solutions?
It's a repeat of our history.
What are the viable solutions?
Sure, there's a viable solution. There's a viable solution. And here's what first of all, Secretary Johnson is absolutely correct in calling this a humanitarian crisis and processing those children in a humane way. This is the United States of America, number one. Number two, Honduras, murder capital of the world, followed by El Salvador and Guatemala. Look, the kids aren't coming from Mexico. They're not coming from Costa Rica. They're not coming from Belize. They're coming from those three countries.
And one of the things that's been lost here is, I mean, you've got a lot of folks who are immigrating to Mexico from those countries as well.
Not only are the kids fleeing to the United States, they are fleeing in unprecedented numbers anywhere. So if we were in Belize right now, we see a refugee crisis. If we were in Costa Rica and Panama, even Mexico, they're not coming. They're coming from three countries. And let's look at it, Craig. Come on. The protesters, why are they fleeing the violence and the drug cartels? Number one, drug cartels, which are fueled by our demand for drugs, number one. And two, drug cartels who cause and ravage those countries with our guns and our money. Right. So I think it's good that we have the money here so that we can process them. Most of those kids Greg, most of those kids will never have a legal status in the United States of America, nor will their parents. They will be deported eventually from the United States of America. But having said that, we need to process them according to the law.
We are going to leave it there. Congressman Luis Gutiérrez, always good to see you. Congressman, thank you. Coming up,
thank you.
President Obama is trying to tackle a lot of very serious issues right now. Iraq, immigration, like we just talked about, the economy, Syria, Ukraine, we could go on and on. Does he need to perhaps go rogue to get something done? We'll talk about that. First, on a lighter note,